NFTs. Yeah. So I guess I still can't work the mirror reflection. Mine, yours. You said you got yours for Christmas. I don't remember. I got mine last year sometime, but
yeah, my sister gave it to me for Christmas.
it was the first one Aaron and I built together. It was Kismet. It's such a romantic one. It's difficult to build a Lego set with somebody else. I'm gonna say, as an adult, I did not like building a Lego set with somebody else. Luckily, you can scan the guides now, and so she was able to pull the guide up on her phone, so we weren't like fighting over the
guide.
Yeah. So when you're building like the two sides that are identical, she could take one side and I could take the other. But I kind of like the Razor Crest that's back there next to it. I kind of enjoyed it because then I usually just pull it out. If we're just sitting on the couch and watching reruns of something, I'll pull out and do one bag like a night and just kind of give it a go. But
yeah, when I work on them, I get in the zone and I just I'm gonna start this and I'm gonna finish it, and I'm not getting up from the seat until it's done. So
yeah, I did that. I did that with some of the smaller ones. These bigger ones, I took a little more time. But anyways, this is Press Play. Press play to listen if you're catching us on our audio feeds, available on Apple, Google, and Spotify, as well as press play to watch if you're catching us over our web series over on YouTube. Project Nerd, this is Tyler. I am Iggy. We are here as part of our kickoff of Press Play. 2 straight weeks of great podcasts, including a handful of Press Play episodes to celebrate PN10. It's PN10. 10 years.
10 years.
Cool. And 10 years that you and Adam have been here as well. Unfortunately, Adam is hopefully asleep right now, so he couldn't join us. But so we were pulling it up when we were talking about beforehand. So our first Nerdcast, our very first podcast aired June 15th, 2012. The audio is still there. You can go to our website and you can listen to it. I encourage you, if you listen to our first season, to remember it is our first season. Definitely. But are you ready to hear the things we talked about, Tyler?
I'm curious to hear. I'm trying to remember because I feel like we would get onto there was a lot of, in that first season, there was a lot of like, this is a topic we ended up talking, like there were certain topics we would just end up talking about every other episode for whatever reason. So I'm curious to hear what the actual slate was.
So products discussed. We had gotten the Blu-ray for Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and reviewed it. So we discussed that. Project X was out.
Jesus.
Yeah. Lollipop Chainsaw was coming out that summer. Remember, we got that game for a review copy as well.
It was actually a pretty fun game.
And we also have a link to the video because I believe, if I remember correctly, Jessica Nigri is in there. So she did that like promo video they did. Scrubs, which also includes a link to Baby It's Cold Outside by Zach Braff and Donald Faison. The Apple TV, True Blood, and then the Prometheus trailer. And not just the trailer, it's trailers. It's their viral.
Oh, all the viral marketing with
Happy Birthday, Quiet Eyes. Yeah, is what's linked here.
What's this? Guy Pearce playing, what's his name? The CEO of Waytoonie Company.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you had Fassbender. Fassbender is
what is his character? Michael? No.
Because Michael's his name. I want to say Michael too, but that's his name. I don't remember. You know what? I can click on him.
Gabriel. Right? I feel like I want to say it's like a biblical name, but I might be off base on that.
Oh wow. Let's go to we need to fix those old links. I can't click to it. Anyways, that was what we discussed. It was Adam, you, myself. We also left a lingering question of who is the geek of the week. So something must have been going on. Naomi Rapace, she was obviously in the Prometheus trailers.
And in Game of Shadows.
And a Game of Shadows, yes. Charlize.
So she was in Sherlock.
What was she doing summer 2012? And then Christina Hendricks, which I think you mentioned a topic that just came up regularly when you were on a podcast early on.
I love me. I mean, it could see she has a lot of sci-fi cred too, though. She's Firefly. I mean, there's a lot of shows that she's done, but what would Charlize Theron have been doing in 2012?
Actually, that link works because it goes to her IMDb. What was happening in 20? She had just finished. Oh wait, this is her producer. Okay, let's go to actress.
Oh, she's in Prometheus.
Oh yeah, she is. That's right.
That's what it was.
She is in Prometheus, and she was
She had
also
Snow White and the Snow White and the Huntsman,
yep.
whatever the first of that kind of like spin-off series of those was coming out.
So
But yeah,
two
she's in
nerdy
Prometheus. She plays
films. Yep.
Meredith. I forgot all about that.
Yep, yeah. I haven't watched that one in a while. It was actually, I think all of us liked it because Adam too was on there. So the three of us liked Prometheus better than it got credit for.
Yeah. Well, and Adam is, I mean, and obviously, like, I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan, so by proxy, I'm a Alien fan. But Adam is a huge Alien fan. Like, that whole franchise is his bag.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's a minute ago. I love the fact that we specifically were talking about for those of you, I mean, we've talked about the history of Project Nerd any number of times, but the first, like the original Genesis was a spin off. One of the reasons it's named Project Nerd was from a Blu-ray review website that you worked for. And this is obviously back in the day when like streaming wasn't really what it is now. So like we owned a lot of Blu-rays. And when a new Blu-ray came out for a movie, which wasn't always a guarantee still in 2012, was HD still a thing? When did HD die?
HD DVD died. No, because HD DVD died while I was still at Best Buy, and I wasn't at Best Buy anymore at that point. So I think it had
discontinued it was around not nearly as long as I thought it was. It dissolved in 2008. Okay, so it was only around for like 2 years. But anyway, you can't see them in this behind me, but there are a lot of Blu-rays on this shelf and on this shelf that are behind the couch. Still, I don't remember the last time I opened a Blu-ray. I don't remember the last time I put a Blu-ray in a machine of any sort of kind, but I still own a lot of them.
So not counting the 8 Criterions I just ordered on their flash sale this week.
That doesn't count.
Not counting those yet because they're not in my collection yet. On my app, I have 1,010 Blu-ray, HDVDs, or 4K movies on disc.
Now, here's the question: in the age of streaming, of any and all things, plus like Plex and all that kind of stuff, when was the last time you went and opened a Blu-ray and put it in a machine and watched it on your television?
A week or two ago. Honestly, so this
is it something like obscure that you can't get on a streaming service, or was it you purposely was like, I'm going to watch the Blu-ray of this?
So I have made it a point to where when my son, so we list a lot of movies, and as we've talked about on more recent podcasts, we've had to introduce Erin to a lot of things that she's
yeah.
So I've made a point to, if we own it, and especially if Orion goes to like Plex or somewhere to get it, I'm like, no. Open the binder and get the disc out. So obviously, a lot of, because we both love like B crappy movies. So there's been a lot of those types of movies that we have to put in, like Tammy and the T-Rex, or recently, like I showed that to Aaron and Orion, or the New York Ninja that I just got from Vinegar Syndrome. So those are discs, obviously. The movies we pulled out were, I believe, the Mission Impossible. I think we got her to the 4th one is where we're at, and showing her that franchise. And so, yes, again, I'm like, no, we own the disc. We have a clip, like out of this world surround system. Streaming can get us good audio, but part of the Blu-ray thing and that 4K player I have is that lossless audio that comes.
It's the audio. It's definitely audio. And especially if you're, depending on your streaming service, depending on your bandwidth, depending on your quality of Plex, whatever version of you're using, audio is always the thing that suffers the most. And I think people fail to realize, like, the reason Blu-ray was such a big deal, video took up a little bit of space on that, but most of those gigs is audio. So
yeah, you quit compressing the audio tracks. That was beautiful.
Yeah. And we also, like, people, for like we said, specifically we talked about a Blu-ray of a movie coming out, because this was also still in the back in the day where it was not uncommon to get a Blu-ray transfer where part of it was terrible, like there was a problem with the video, or the audio was
that first
terrible,
release of The Fifth Element was like,
it's one of the
they even bought it. They even bought them back and did a remaster. Yeah. No, it's crazy. So today, more so, I limit my Blu-ray shopping to like 2 things. Like recently I bought The Rocketeer on Blu-ray because I had The Rocketeer. Recently I bought like Street Fighter on Blu-ray because it's just a bananas crappy movie that I love. And obviously the Criterions, then those weird collections like Kino, Vinegar Syndrome, the Arrows is doing really cool special editions now. And then certain 4K movies. So for Dune, I bought in January on 4K because I'm like, I've got to have we're talking audio, the video, like I've got to have it. And too, a lot of times when you buy these, you get that digital copy. And my Voodoo account, I think my dad and stepmom, my brother and my sister, I think like most of my family has access to my Voodoo account. So when I buy a movie and put the digital copy on there, that's usually when they finally get to see the movie that they didn't go see.
That's one thing I never did a good job of getting on board with, was like setting up a single digital video account. And like when I bought Blu-rays digital, I bet you, and I'm assuming a lot of them are expired or they're for services that no longer exist, but I bet you on this shelf there's a lot of digital codes that have never been redeemed, because I'm terrible about it. And
so
for someone who does so much stuff streamed digitally, I don't do anything with. So
a lot of them you can get past their expiration date. So I found that same problem when I was transferring everything from the cases to those binders a couple years ago. So I keep all the special edition stuff on the shelf, which you've seen. And then the regular Blu-rays and HDVDs and like TV. I still have a handful of TV seasons from back in the day. I haven't bought a TV season in years, but back from the review days. And when I was transferring everything over, I just had a stack, of just those slips of digital copies, and most of them still worked past the expiration. There was a handful that it was like, this code is not recognized at all. So but I was able to redeem quite a few. So it was pretty interesting. Hopefully my family got some viewing out of those ones, I guess.
There you go.
But no, so Dune, and then of course, like obviously when Black Friday is the best time to buy the superhero 4Ks. So like I'll pick up Spider-Man No Way Home right on 4K. My mouse just died. Oh, and my computer's not open. So anyways, so those types of things I'll pick up still, but it is we do watch a lot, especially TV. We watch a lot more on streaming, and that's a weird one, because just talking about this is making me think of I used to buy box sets of TV shows. It's kind of crazy to think about it now.
Not only buy box set of TV shows, which I did all the time. I still own quite a few of them. I'm just never going to do anything with them. But do you remember, and this, not every place did it, but like Digital Shelf, where we both lived at the time that this show started in Manhattan, was a rental place back when rental places were still a thing. And you would rent TV shows by the disc from Digital Shelf. You couldn't rent season 1. You could rent the first 2 discs of season 1.
Right.
And watch 5 episodes of Smallville, like I remember doing with my roommates at the time, and then taking them back and getting disc 3 and 4, and then taking those home and watching 5 more episodes of that season.
They were walking distance from you, right? They were in
not at that time, but eventually they were. When I moved to that house in Bluemont, that's now a hotel or something, or an apartment complex, probably. I'm assuming. I could walk, but actually, at the time, but at the time that the Nerdcast started, I would have had to still drive there. So
right, perfect.
Yeah, so like I talk about things that existed 10 years ago, places where you could go rent things. Us doing reviews of Blu-rays because they had to. There was a possibility the quality wouldn't be great.
Netflix still had to be sending, we still had to be sending discs. Were we in the hybrid point yet in 2012? I can't even think.
I mean, Netflix had to have been streaming by them, right?
Because there was that period of hybrid to where you would get a disc or 2 at a time, but then they have a limited amount of content available immediately for streaming.
So they transitioned to streaming services.
Seems so long ago, 10 years.
2012 would have been the. God. Now I'm just looking at all the shows that they would have had. Some Blu-ray and discontinued sales. Overtook. 2009 is when their streaming officially took over DVD shipments. But it looks like they were still shipping well into that period of time. And also just you look back at that time in Netflix and you realize how much that was back when no one had still bought into streaming, so they still had the rights to everything. Everything from DreamWorks, everything from Disney, everything from Warner Brothers. They had all these deals. So that was the only place you watched things. So
right. Oh goodness. God, 2012 was a busy year. Marvel's The Avengers came out. Obviously we had the Mayan count. The world was going to end right on December of that year.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Endeavor's last flight was in 2012. So the space shuttle Endeavor, as well as we landed, which one was it? Curiosity on the Mars, I want to say, was 2012. Yeah, Mars Curiosity rover successfully lands, and Denmark overwhelmingly approves a law allowing same-sex marriage that year. And of course, a couple bad things. That was the Dark Knight, or came out, so the Aurora, a Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises, the shooting.
So the Aurora theater shooting, and then of course Sandy Hook that year. And
the London Olympics would have been 2012, right? That's London,
right? And then Hurricane Sandy was that year as well. Yeah, a busy year there. I'm kind of looking at it there.
It's funny now that you say the end of the world mind. I was helping someone with like a trivia thing the other day, and I was looking up all my old files of bar trivia that we did back in Manhattan, and I found one from around this time of year, or from 2012, and it had a bunch of like end of the world categories that makes me laugh now to think about, which would have probably been in December, but
yeah. So London, we would have probably been on our third episode when the London Olympics started. So it started at the end of July there, or did we start it in June? So sorry, no, we would have been probably 7 or 8 episodes in. Anyways, we did 10 episodes, or 11 episodes. Hold on, we're gonna figure this out. This is captivating podcast content right here.
I mean, I'm actually curious now, because I mean,
16 episodes.
That sounds more like it. It's like 10 seems really low. Number one, this would have also, if you do decide to go back and listen to them, understand that most of them were taped at a card table in a basement, all sitting around the same snowball mic. And
you used to call it my mom's basement on air.
I did used to call it.
Say we were in my mom's basement.
Yeah, obviously.
She was playing up to stereotypes too, I think.
Playing up to stereotypes, obviously. Sure. But yeah, we all sat around a card table in your basement because that was where it was quiet. Right. It was where it was the quietest. You can still usually hear the air conditioner kick on and off depending on what time of year it was. And it was a snowball hooked up to your MacBook Pro. And that was how because it wasn't until season 3 that we had like actual microphones and a soundboard and stuff like that. When did we actually start spending money?
Season 3, because season 2 went 2 episodes because all the episodes were lost because we lost our editor and I wasn't comfortable editing audio yet. And we had, like you said, the quality needed there was a lot of fix it in post happening in that time.
Sure.
And then season 3, the search for season 2, as we called it, is when I think we broke into our individual mics, and Bob, I think, joined us full time at that season. And at that point, Bob had been coming around and dropping off movies and kind of hanging out of the door. And then we'd slowly get him in a little further. He'd try a bite to eat for dinner, because podcast night was
also like
thing.
It was like movie and dinner night too.
Usually, yes. So. Yeah, because the whole thing is, it started when we started Project Nerd. You were like, well, we're coming over here talking this stuff anyways. Let's just throw a microphone in front of us and put it on air. So Bob finally worked his way in. And then I think at that point in season 3 is when Aaron would start, the old Aaron would start sitting downstairs, listening on the couch, and then she would comment. So we'd sit there and pause for quiet pauses while she was, and we're like, just get a microphone. And she became a part of it as well. So I think season 3, which technically, if you really break down, was our second season, is where we really found our voice and became that group of 5 that lasted many years.
If you listen to Project Nerd back in the time, like, it was definitely, we call it season 3, but it's a running joke that season 2 does not. Did you have any of the lost episodes? Did you ever actually end up posting? Because the audio still exists, right?
Yeah. I have all the audio from everything, all the raw audio from that time. So we released 2 episodes at the time, in between the seasons. So we actually got 2 episodes out like pretty quickly, and then the rest of it kind of fell apart. And I feel like we released 2 specials after season 3. So season 3 made it all the way to 20. Oh my goodness. No, it's still going. Season 3 lasted over a year.
Long time.
It seemed like. Okay, here we go. Season 3 lasted 28 episodes. And then we released a episode that was the best of our last episode. So by then I was editing and cutting it. So I think I went back, and even if it didn't sound great, just got some of that, because there was some pretty funny stuff back then.
There's some great stuff.
And as much as we don't like her now, there was some pretty funny spots because she would always pick an argument that was bad with Aaron. So we definitely went back and got some of those. But we're also talking about, when I'm looking at these, season 3 to season 4, that's when net neutrality was being talked about. As you mentioned, we were transitioning probably in the streaming era. The Avengers was just starting to happen. So we had a lot of stuff going on. And then obviously we, as a brand, were just hitting out on the road and really starting to be seen at the conventions. And speaking of, which reminds me of another great memory. We always talk about the Chicago one, but I love that Denver memory where we'd really never had any in-person feedback. I think we'd had a few online comments and we'd started to see some things with our social media, but nobody had verbalized to us that they listened to us. So we also always joked that it was our parents that were our only listeners.
No one else was listening to
it. Right. So we were at Denver Comic-Con, I want to say 2013 or 2014. So a year or two in. It had to be 2013 because it'd been a year in. And we were near the exit and somebody on their way out just was like, Project Nerd, love you guys, listen to you guys all the time, just kept walking, never said another thing to us. And we were all kind of like,
did that just happen?
Yeah, there's people out there that listen to us. And to think of this, Tyler, that was 20. So that was give it year 1, maybe sometime around year 1, a little bit after. Here we were in 2021, year 9. And we broke the top 250 mark in the entertainment category on Apple Podcasts for this podcast feed. Like, I mean, it took a while. We were there for a while, but the point is that people are listening to us. There's people listening to us right now. So
I love it. I'm now going back through old episodes of Nerdcast and it's getting super nostalgic. So, specifically, I'm looking at back when we did a short-lived our own version of Mystery Science Theater /Riff Tracks, and we did Movie Night with Project Nerd.
Yes.
Specifically, the first 2 films we did were Event Horizon and Hansel and Gretel. If you have an hour or two to kill, I recommend them. It's not all gold, but there are some very good jokes in both of those. I feel like that's some of our best work.
You definitely had your moment in the Hansel and Gretel one, and it derailed the whole episode.
It did ruin it.
Where all the
white witches at?
Yeah. Where all the white witches at. And I don't think we could stop laughing long. Like, it just knocked the whole thing off course for sure.
I also saw the one here where did it go?
God, we were consistent as hell back then.
We did the night that, or it was the week that PT, the trailer for a Silent Hill game or whatever game that never got made, obviously because of Kojima's huge falling out with Konami, the whole thing. But that trailer, which is horrifying, and the only way any of us would play it was like we were all sitting in a room together watching it, and it was still horrifying because it's the hallway and the weird fetus thing in the sink and the crazy lady ghost, and it's different every time you go down the hallway. So we all sat in a room and then we did a review of it. Like, we basically just recorded our reactions after we played it. But it was just thinking about it's making me.
I'm pretty sure Adam hurried us so he could start playing it again too. So
to find all the cool stuff.
No, it's pretty crazy. We got there, we made it through. If you're able to check it out, the Nerdcast is the predecessor to this new series, Press Play, which just us here talking about it. I think we're going to have a lot of episodes of the two of us here, but more generalized, a little bit different format, different Project Nerd host. And more importantly, the name is, again, more generalized because the idea is we're going to talk about whatever. So we're going to have any kind of guest on. If we have a political conversation, we have a political conversation. Or if we do what we did with the first episode, we may pick our Oscar picks and see who's going to win, who's going to win in the Oscar pick'em for this year. But I think it's going to be one of us.
How do you feel about your picks now that some of the Guild Awards have started to come out? I guess before I should preface this, have the picks when in the order of these getting played, or
this will have, so as we're recording, in less than a week, the Oscar picks one will air. They'll air next Tuesday.
Okay.
From our recording.
So this will come out after that. So we can talk about the picks and it won't be a spoiler for. Okay.
Right, exactly. And the Oscars will have probably aired by the time this one's edited and aired as well. I think this will air right after the Oscars. So I'm feeling less confident about me going dark horse on the best picture because the Power of the Dog just continues to own. I
was actually a little bit worried about going hard because I went pretty hard on Power of the Dog in the big six and didn't feel great about it. But now after some of the Guild Awards, I feel significantly better about it. I don't feel as confident in some of my acting decisions, but as a whole, I feel pretty good about my slate. Here's the thing. I feel incredibly good about my slate versus everyone but basically you. So
no, listen, it was great playing with 3 people who were they were choosing from their heart, picking what they wanted to win, even making the comments. I know it's not going to win, but I'm still going to pick it. And
cool.
every time they
I
were
don't
doing
think you
that,
guys I don't think you guys
like,
I don't think you guys understand the point of the game. Like that's not what we're here to do.
No, it's for sure. So yeah, definitely go backwards and catch that episode. A fun one. We had Courtney and Quentin on with Adam and the 2 of us. Also happening this month though, so week 1 announcement, Project Nerd Film Festival. We announced that.
Film Festival. It's going to be amazing.
Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. Right there at the end of the summer, right in the middle, of course, of our stretch of events, looking pretty good, coming together. Got some big announcements hopefully around that soon. Week 2 announcements was a whole bunch of new shirts, including some of our retro designs. So I don't know, Tyler, if you've seen them yet by the time we recorded.
I looked at all of them.
The Pro Nerd Bubble.
I already almost bought one, but I didn't yet.
The original Impact
Here's
font.
the thing. Well, the Impact font, the bubble. I mean, I was actually trying to find out how many, trying to like do like a trying to date. Well, not inventory, but them like try to figure out like what's the oldest one I have that's still, and then go through, because as we know, we did lots of different vendors over the years of shirts, and I have some that like have held up pretty good over the years, and I have some that are looking rough, like not really blue anymore, kind of a yellow, and then like the print, like the screen printing is terrible, or if it's even a screen print or just like an iron-on or whatever, a lot of them are looking, but a lot of them look better than I'll say if we did one thing in the 10 years, we started sourcing way better shirts. Granted, way better shirts became much cheaper, but like that nice soft, we definitely did better work on the shirt game. But I'm also not gonna talk shit, because T-shirts funded a good chunk of what we got to do for the first like 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, people were buying them. We would have other artist shirts designs to where we'd get a much smaller cut, and we realized a lot of people were asking for our logos and our designs that we were wearing. So we started selling those at a much bigger cut. And yes, it definitely helped us get set up before events were having us out for free. Now, I was just going to say, now our shirts are on Bella and Canvas. Very like our new PN skate shirts are very nice. And our new designs, like Your Comfort Zone Will Kill You.
Obviously, if you're gonna pick one, the best new of the PN skate shirts is the I Read Band books. Everyone should buy that one.
Mine just shipped today, so I will see it here in the next couple of days.
That's the best one, but they're all very good. But the I Read Band books is the best one. But the retro ones definitely had me feeling pretty nostalgic. So when they're not on that super thick, uncomfortable, I don't even know what brand is it. Gildan, is that what the original ones were?
The Gildan, like just stiff, like $6 shirts or whatever. Yeah. No, those are the ones that did not hold up. But so that one, bunch of new shirts, as you mentioned, a bunch of new of our like social shirts. So band books, we have our new Pride one, trans one, because Texas is a piece of shit. But anyways, but then also, like we said, our retro shirts that we're bringing back some of the old designs that were pretty fun. Week 3 announcement, which hasn't even been shared with all of the team by the time we've recorded, Tyler, is the return of Project Nerd Publishing. That's right. Project Nerd Publishing is back.
It's exciting.
Artist is already working on Task Force Max. We've got Billy Volume 2 written and getting ready for the artist. The Escort will be what we're calling remastered with new, more expensive artwork, would be the way to put it.
I'm excited for Billy. Season 2 is probably the one I'm most excited about, but this is something I did know was coming back, but there was a question that when you told me it was coming back that I forgot to ask, and that is, with the rebranding, with the new, all the branding, is the lion dead or is the lion still alive?
Well, the lion's back, and that's one of the shirts that's back in the store too. So the lion is back. The half lion face, because the full lion face is the PN Skate one. So that's back. It'll be on our covers, although we're going to work with the publisher who's going to handle all the publisher and admin, but it'll still be Project Nerd Publishing. It'll still be our original creations. A few more things to announce. This will air ahead of week 4 announcement, but you know what? If you listen to it, you get a tease. So week 4 announcement was going to be more about Project Nerd TV and the announcement that we're pushing. Obviously, it's been delayed. We're pushing it into the fall, and with good reason. We're bringing in some pieces that are going to help make it better and help it grow. And I think it's going to be a better experience when it does launch than what was potentially going to happen this month. I think we would have had a nice product this month, but I think we're going to have a great product
much better one.
Yeah. So that is the updates around that is the week 4 announcement. And of course, we're talking about making a podcast to where we were worried about editing it and its sound, and you can tell we're in the basement. And now this month we're announcing TV shows, and I guess we'll hear right here first too. So right here first on this press play,
Right here first.
right here first, comedy specials too. We've produced stand-up comedy specials that are currently being edited, and they are being shopped on platforms. So eventually we will let you know where you're going to be able to see those. That's pretty exciting. So I don't know, a lot going on we've come a long way from sitting in that basement around that snowball mic.
We have indeed. So
for sure. And not to mention the biggest news of all out of PN on the backside of PN10. You and Adam will be here in Denver with me.
It's true.
As we head on up to Estes Park for my wedding and a week full of excitement.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So yeah, we're having a big PN wedding coming up soon. So it'll be the first time that. When was the last time the three of us were in the same place at the same time? It had to have been before Adam moved.
Planet Comic Con 2019, because they didn't make it to Omaha because they moved like a month after Planet Comic Con 2019. So we got that big Airbnb that you would come over in the morning and you stayed
over on Strawberry Hill. Yeah, over on Strawberry Hill.
And so that weekend was the last weekend, and then they moved right before we did OCon that summer. And unfortunately for them, 6 months after they moved, the world shut down. And they were
so they haven't been back since. So they're right. As bad as things got here, they had it obviously a lot worse there, I think, for big chunk of it. So
no, it's going to be exciting. I think Project Nerd has to come to a halt for like 2 weeks because everybody involved with Project Nerd will be here celebrating and having a good time together. No, I'm looking forward to it. But
I'm sure Iggy will find a way to squeeze some content out of the weekend. So.
I'll be
sure to bring my laptop and some microphones or something. So.
Right. I don't know. I'm going to Hawaii for my honeymoon, and as much as I know I shouldn't podcast, I kind of want to podcast just for the sake that I can say I'm podcasting from Hawaii, just so I
feel like you have to. I feel like at some point, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to obviously we have important wedding things to do, but I feel like if we're up in the mountains at like a nice lodge in Estes Park, we should at least get some sort of video of us sitting at a table, like with mountains in the backdrop, something pretty.
We can do some. You know what? We're gonna have photographers there. One of them
paid
for it. One paid for it. Yeah, no, it's gonna be pretty exciting. Some fun things planned with it, and I know we get a theater is where we get to set up. So all the guys standing with me, you and Adam included, we get a theater. So I will bring the Switch and play some Mario Kart for at least an hour. I've got 4 pairs of shoes that I'll be changing out throughout the day. Carrie's going to come in. I'm going to ring a bell, and he's going to bring them in with the tray each time that we're doing them. And then Aaron and I got our wedding lightsabers. I got her a purple blade, and I got a whitish silver one to match our wedding colors too. So
they're very cool. I have seen them.
So
I'm trying to find ways to pack board games because I hate checking baggage, but at the same time, board game boxes are big.
What do you need? I don't have some of what you got, but we just got Risk because Aaron had never played it. So I just picked that up. You remember my massive old chess set, that Adam Graves, like weird looking one that had the weird ones? And it was like really oversized. It had like the smooth rounded pieces. And it
like
was
the
really
Art
weird.
Deco style ones.
Yeah. Orion found it in his mom's garage and my ex-wife and brought it back over, which was nice because we looked at it online and apparently that's a collector's item now.
So valuable. I don't know. I have a lot of, I have too many board games. Like I've run out of places to put board games, but I have a bunch of like fun party stuff. I'll find some stuff for us to.
I may have it by then.
But
Funko's sending me the Goofy movie game.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. I got my Powerline shirt ready to go for that unboxing and review. So maybe we'll have that.
I have a few of the original Funko Universe games. I think the Rick and Morty one and some of the DC ones. I don't have a ton of party games. I have a lot of board games, but I also don't know that people want to play, simulators of the rebuilding of Lisboa, in the 1400s. Or I've got the Goonies and the Goonies expansion from Funko. Okay. I've got Die Hard the game, so we got that one from Funko. We did get actually our friend here in Colorado, his name's Martin, he made that
that HexaQuest game that we recently shared about on his Kickstarter. So I have a copy of that. That seems pretty cool. That we haven't really played to the extent because it needs more people. Throw burrito if we're
throw through
having a few
burritos.
drinks and want to head in the backyard. Yeah.
Always a classic.
So we've got some choices here. We've got some choices, and yeah, we'll see what else Funko is throwing our way by then too, because they send us pretty much everything. It's exciting. But yes, man, celebrations galore. Project Nerd 10 and the wedding.
This won't be, obviously it's news today. It won't be news obviously when this goes up, but I almost texted you earlier today because we've been talking obviously all things Ninja Turtles. It's been this last couple of years has been a renaissance of Ninja Turtles. You have been on a spending spree of nostalgia, all sorts of Ninja Turtles between the Last Ronin figurine and the Turtle Van. That Last Ronin figure, I mean, Last Ronin is one of the best comic books, not just Turtle comic books, best comic books I've read in the last 5 or 6 years. Like,
be out on trade this summer too. Yeah,
it's so good. But I had the Turtle Van, I had the pizza shooter thing. Like, but did you see that they announced finally today the release of the Cowabunga collection for consoles, which will be basically almost every Ninja Turtle game that's ever came out on any system in one complete collection. There's a cool trailer for it on IGN. So
I did not. I will watch it after this, and I will buy it. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get that arcade, that 1-Up arcade thing or whatever.
For the Turtles in Time.
Yes. Oh, God.
So a friend of mine just recently he bought, because you buy the deck with like the controllers and this rollerball, like a Micro Center or wherever, and they got a Raspberry Pi, put some software on it, and obviously has too many games on it. But as his favorites collection, he has literally every Ninja Turtles game ever made. And screen's not quite big enough for like Turtles in Time full stride scroller action, but I mean, if you're gonna play an arcade game, Turtles in Time is definitely one of the ones you got to go to.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, you're right. I got the Party Wagon. It is they re-released it in the original packaging. Everything to the T looks like the original one. Still a limited edition re-release. It came in an outer box, numbered and everything. So it's still a valuable item and still cost me a little bit of money. We'll put it that way, but not as much as like an in-box
original one. Yeah.
Right. But oh God, as you mentioned, when you saw the picture of it, nostalgia pull like crazy. So I had at one point probably 6 or 7 tabs open across various toy stores and eBay with probably $700 worth of Ninja Turtle toys in them. And I'm like, I need to call and tell my banks that all my credit cards are stolen. So they stop them for a week and send me new ones. And I got a whole week to think on this because it was getting a little out of hand.
It's weird. That's the only, and I wasn't a huge action figure toy person when I was a kid, but I had a lot of them. But when we go to conventions, when we go to toy store, like we see a lot of vintage toys in places that we go and the circles we hang out in. None of them ever really Power Rangers. As much as I love Power Rangers, those ones don't do it for me. A lot of those can't. But anytime I see some of those old Ninja Turtle action figures that I had as a kid and spent hours playing with, it hits me in a very specific spot, and it's hard not to spend too much money owning them.
Well, I realized that's all I pretty much had as a kid, and I'm sure it wasn't like because you were only allowed to have one thing. I'm assuming it's because that's all I wanted.
That's all I wanted.
Yeah,
I feel like anything I had that wasn't Ninja Turtles was something like I inherited or was just like a thing that was left over from a thing. Like I got a couple of Transformers and like G.I. Joe and like the truck from Mask, the semi truck from Mask, because Mask was such a cool. Yeah. It was 100% like people talk about Transformers being a show made to sell toys and G.I. Joe being a show made to sell toys and He-Man, same thing. Kind of, but they had plot lines and stories and they ran for a long time, or huge franchises. If you want the cartoon that was made to sell toys, it is Mask.
Right.
Gullwing door, a car that turns into a plane, a thing with a thing. God, that was a terrible show,
no,
but those were
no, I know. I had a couple Transformers. I remember God, what's the name? The Green Tiger from He-Man. From Masters of the Universe. And so I had Skeletor and the Green Tiger. I remember that. But 90% of what I had, and I had it all.
Battle Cat?
Is it Battle Cat? That
Cringer.
sounds right.
Cringer.
Okay.
Cringer, okay, but if he transforms, he's Battle. Yeah. Cringer.
Okay, yeah. No, so I had those. And then I had a ton of baseball cards. Baseball cards was also my thing. But every Ninja, like I had the monster variants, the surf variants, the mechanical variants, the little, I mean, I had Baxter transformed as like the fly basically.
I remember when they came out with the transforming turtles, which was a huge deal. Like, so
The
you had
heads would
like
flip.
the flip
Yeah.
around. So you had the Baxter that turned from like regular Baxter to fly, and you had the Bebop and Rocksteady that would turn from like human
God.
to like rhinoceros or warthog to human and stuff like that.
God, now I'm gonna go
That's really
buy
cool.
all those. I'm gonna go buy because that's another thing that's getting re-released. It's Ultimate 7,
The
and they're releasing the
yeah.
Ultimates,
The
which is
only
all just the
toy
originals.
the only toy that I never had that I really, really wanted was the Technodrome playset where like it opened up and you could have.
It must have been out of my parents' price range too, because I didn't have that one
I didn't
either.
have that one. That was the one that like everyone wanted, but I don't know that many people had because you would open it up and it was the whole.
I had that one friend that lived 2 houses down. Really cool dude. Nothing against him, but he definitely was that kid
Who
that
had all the stuff.
Oh, as soon as his parents split, like everything all of
Yeah.
a sudden, right? And he definitely had it, so we played with it. But yeah, you mentioned the pizza shooter, which that thing shot pizzas violently, like it shot pizzas hard. And then of course the party wagon, which we said I got the replica of now. I feel like there was a convertible car too. I don't remember. I'd have to go look it up, but there was like some kind of convertible.
So
that was like
there's
purplish.
the turtle car, like there was the bike, because was there another version of the van where the bike would go inside the van,
right,
pop out, and then there was a car of some kind, but then there was the Dimension X it was like the cat like from the cartoon, because like those kids from Dimension X come and they have like the red convertible like Cadillac looking thing that's like a hover car. I feel like that was a toy for a little bit too.
Okay, so here it is. I pulled it up. It's the Shredder car. So it's a purple and black convertible with a gun on the back, and the picture has like Bebop and Rocksteady in it. The flags on it say Shell Crusher and Turtle. Like, yeah, that's the one I remember. And then it had like little water gun things out the front. Awesome. Foot Cruiser is what it's listed on this other website too. It is Foot Cruiser. Yeah. Oh my God. I have to buy this now. This is getting bad. Yes, I absolutely love this. No, Ninja Turtles was my thing for sure. Star Wars, Ninja Turtles, Batman, but Ninja Turtles just always had that special place. And speaking of, we have a few minutes left. Have you seen the Batman?
I have not. I was
okay.
Going to go see it this weekend, but I just didn't have the time. So I'm going to try to see it hopefully by Sunday. If I don't, I have Sunday off. I'm going to see it Sunday, but
okay.
I've heard really good things about it.
Episode. It's good. I gave it 7 out of 10.
I'm a sucker for movies, and I don't have a problem watching long ones. But right now, for whatever reason, the thought of going and watching a 3-hour Batman reboot is just like I don't have time for that.
God, we went to a crowded theater, and of course on a Monday night. So Monday night is Aaron and my movie night because nobody goes to the theater on Monday, especially pandemic Monday night. Like nobody has been going to theaters, but there is we went to see Death of the Nile on its opening weekend, and it turned out Monday was February 14th, so that didn't pan out well. That theater was packed, and we went. I love the Draft House and everything about it, but the Draft House also has a lot of food options, and for some reason it has nachos on the list still, like something that should have been done away as theater food years ago. And the girl next to me just crunching right in my ear. Somebody's phone going off, and they did the whole thing where they pause and freeze to like act like it's not their phone instead of just shutting it off, so it keeps ringing, and it's like, oh my gosh, people. And then this week we went and saw the Batman, and I think I just saw the thing. It was the second or third biggest Monday in years, like since pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was a packed house, and the guys next to us, well, they were just man-childs, we'll call them that. They were not. They hadn't been in a theater for a while. It seemed like, we'll just put it that way. But
etiquette was the movie etiquette was lacking.
Yes, I will say though, for those that know me personally, it may be a fun story for other people. We go sit down in the theater. My son's car had broke down, so my ex-wife had to drive all the way over here next to my house where the theater is. Picks up the kids. He says they're going to see a movie. I don't think twice about it. So we're sitting down in the theater. We go to order our food at the Draft House, and this Aaron's like, looks over like weird, and this little girl's waving off to our side. And you know me, at this point, I have just tunnel vision everything out, because even the Draft House pre-trailers thing is all fun videos related to the movie you're seeing. And it was Evie and Orion, and she had taken them to the same exact movie we were at. So it was interesting, that's for sure. Let's put it that way. But my daughter saw Batman the same time I did, the Batman.
There you go.
The score, I will say, spoiler free. Batman is, we know the Batman movies are notorious for solid scores. This one knocks it out of the park. This score is phenomenal. And I just picked up that Mondo exclusive set today on recording day because it blew me away. The score was fantastic. So
now,
I will say that.
Like, I mean, are you putting it on top of like Elfman or
so here's the problem with
Elfman or
okay. So here's the thing. Elfman has that iconic that defined Batman, right? Like that defined the Batman.
I mean,
score.
That is, and it's takes on it have been in everything since.
Right, then, right. So. And it's nostalgic too, right? So that's from our childhood. So it's hard to say. But when I look at if I look at this separate, if I'm not comparing it, I mean, it's better than any score we've seen in the DCEU yet. That's for sure. I mean, hands down.
Who's the
what's his name? The really nerdy guy who also composed Rogue One.
Giacchino or
yes.
I can't ever say his last name. Giacchino.
Yeah, it's the Italian.
He did a bunch of TV shows. He did like Lost and Fringe and
Alias. He's super.
He did
nerdy,
all the JJ.
So
he did like all the JJ Abrams television shows. He did all the scores for those.
No,
and a bunch of video games
solid.
too. I feel like he's like the Call of Duty guy. Like makes the Call of Duty music
because he loves
like
all this stuff, and he is
cool
fantastic at it. No, the Batman score is fantastic. The Catwoman one's solid, and he has fun with the Riddler one. It's pretty unique and interesting. So, anyways, it's I love the score. The score was great.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna see it. It's a Batman movie. It's getting good buzz. I really want to see Colin Farrell as the Penguin, and if I'm in my hierarchy of like great cinematographers, like Greg Fraser's up there. I mean,
he did solid. There are definitely, I think so. Quentin and I were talking about this on another episode, and there are moments in this movie. So I won't say overall but there are a few key scenes in this movie that might, when you look at the cinematography and what's happening in it, might become some of the most iconic Batman scenes. And I mean, you've seen a couple of them in the trailer. That's the problem with the trailer, I think, ruined the movie for me a little bit because there are some huge moments in that trailer. And but there are a couple scenes to where it's like, this is just perfectly done, this moment.
Were there any as like the resident Batman expert? I mean, I've read a lot of Batman comics, but not nearly as many of you. Is there any specific storylines, comic runs, artist runs like that are specifically channeling as far as visually and or story wise, or is it just a little bit of everything hodgepodge together?
The hodgepodge, it definitely tries to pull from it. It definitely tries to play in the same area Nolan does with Batman Year One. You have your young Bruce Wayne, you have your more realistic suit and car and stuff, right? Which we again seen from the trailers. You definitely deal with the Falcone situation, but it's a twist on it I have never read before. I can't say it's not out there, but in many, many Batman stories I've read, I've never read this one. And they try to really humanize the villains a bit more. And so I think that's why it pulls away from probably directly being any comic story. It's not like, the Flash is coming out later this year and it's obviously the Flashpoint paradox story, right? Like so this is going, and even though it might take liberties, it's very well founded on that, where this is just kind of a Matt Reeves, I'm gonna do what I want type thing with it. So
yeah, well, and they definitely, I mean, Batman has a history of doing this, but as a reboot, Batman's ubiquitous enough now you can get away with it, and that's the reason you watch Batman movies as the villains. But in your opening act, you're bringing in Catwoman and Riddler and Falcone and Penguin all in one movie. Like, that's a whole lot of ground to cover for a first movie, right? And what might be a series, might not be a series, but in a reboot, that's a lot of ground to cover. I guess I have one question, and I do not care if you spoil this for me.
Okay.
Because we've seen it so many times. In fact, too many times. In fact, in a movies that we didn't even need to see it in. How much screen time does Crime Alley and the Murder of the Waynes get? 0. Thank God.
No, you get I'm
assuming they reference it. You have to reference it. It's part of who Batman is. I get it. But if I have to watch the two of them walk down that fucking alleyway again and get the pearls ripped off and the gun go off, I can't do it. It's been filmed too many times. We all know why Batman's Batman. We get it.
It is an intricate part of a couple scenes of dialogue to explain why Batman is Batman. It is an intricate scene to the overall plot. It also ties into the overall plot of this exact movie, but you don't see it. And I think Matt Reeves did that very strategically of saying, this is it. This is the moment that changed because it doesn't just change everything for Bruce and becoming Batman. It changes everything for Gotham, as we know in any story arc you go to, because they were the angels,
even more
the
so
money
in
of Gotham
later
City.
stories. Like once like the Court of Owls gets involved, it becomes even in the mythology, it's become even a bigger deal than it was originally.
Right.
And it was a pretty big deal originally. So
I like that you reference Court of Owls. Again, hodgepodge of things here, but it's there are no Court of Owls. It's not directly in there, but again,
but that feeling of like there's more going on underneath the surface.
There was more going on with the Wayne situation, yes. And I do appreciate that we didn't see it. You do get, I think you get 2 or 3 scenes of Thomas Wayne. I guess, Martha's in the background. And they do reference, which I have seen only in a handful of arcs, Martha's family being the Arkham family, right? So the Arkham family and the Wayne family being the foundation of the city. So they reference that, which was fun because obviously there's not a lot of Arkham Asylum in this one either. But it's interesting. It's really, when you see it, we'll talk about it.
Is it, do you feel like, because there's already 2 sequels and 2 television shows that are spinning off from this specific movie already in the works, does it warrant a full-on Star Wars-esque, Spider-Man-esque like shared universe, or is it like, I mean, hopefully maybe okay?
I'm fine with it.
Like having now seen this movie, are you guaranteed gonna watch both those shows and watch both the movies that come afterwards?
Well, I'm definitely gonna watch the Penguin show because Colin Farrell's the Penguin.
Yeah.
What's the other show that was green? I forgot.
The other one is I think it's just like I don't remember the exactual.
Is it? I feel like it has to do with Gotham PD, right?
I think it's supposed to be. Well, they canceled the PD series. Like that was the one that they were working on originally. That was the first show that HBO Max like picked up. Was it HBO? It's it's about Arkham Asylum. They're going to make an Arkham Asylum show and a Penguin show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I'm sure the way they do this stuff now, like for example, the Peacemaker show was out of this world fantastic.
God, so good.
But I'm sure the Arkham Asylum will help be a launching pad then to somebody to enter a future movie. So I'd be interested to see what they do there.
Yeah.
As
like
for
Reeves came out recently, like this month, and said like because the PD one's not going forward, they're doing an Arkham Asylum, but it'll be like a horror tone haunted house, some similar to like the House of Arkham comic books, I think is the theme there. Less the prison part of it, more the creepy mansion full of bad things sort of thing.
I think it's some interesting where they could go with this. I think really interested to see what they do with Colin Farrell's Penguin. I will say I have a lot of opinions. I'll say that. There are a lot of opinions. I'm happy with this movie is what I'll tell you. I'm happy with it. It's not better than the Nolan franchise. It's not even better than Burton. There are pieces of this, though. Again, I'm going to go back to that score to where I was very impressed with. Yeah. And there are a couple scenes in there that I was like, wow. Like there is, so.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like even as someone who hasn't seen it, there are pieces about it I am incredibly excited about. I love Jeffrey Wright. I'm always excited anything he's in. I am excited to see Andy Serkis' take on Alfred. I want to see Colin Farrell's Penguin, obviously. But as a whole, I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm not gonna not see it. But I've seen the first Batman movie quite a few times at this point in my life. So
that's how I feel afterwards too. I'm just going to warn you that I was happy with the pieces I was excited about, but overall, I feel like the movie doesn't quite know its way fully, I guess would be the way to put it without spoiling. As for, I will touch on the Serkis thing. He's not a bad Alfred at all, but after Kane has played Alfred and made,
what are you going to do? You
can't like, you can't, Sir Michael Caine, like he put so much depth into Alfred like never before that it's really hard to see because it's like you can see a new Penguin. Danny DeVito as the Penguin, top notch, one of the best Batman villains we've still had to this day, right? Like on screen. But now you have a whole different type of Penguin, which you can do with Alfred. Alfred is Alfred no matter what. So it's kind of the same idea of putting Will Smith. Will Smith's great, and I thought he was an okay genie, but the fact that he had to follow Robin Williams' genie it just wasn't, it just never was going to be that. Right. So that's where I think I was with Circus. He's fine, but you just now always have to fill in Kane's shoes, and you just can't. Like, he was just such a good Alfred. But I don't know. Anyways, that's fun. That's Batman. We're gonna have to get back together and talk more of this after you see Batman.
I'm gonna have to. I now will make it a point to go and watch it so that we can talk about it.
Okay, you go watch it. We'll talk about it. We'll get together again on more Press Play. This is on Project Nerd. So again, if you're catching us on YouTube, head down below, subscribe, like, turn on those notifications. We're always sending you good stuff. We've got a good seasons of a few shows ahead up in April and May, including the return of Horror Not for season 2 and more G-Spot. So some great content coming your way, as well as a lot more Press Play with special guests all along the way. And then if you are checking us out there, but you want to hear us maybe on your way to work now that people are back in the car more, maybe you're going to be in the car less because of gas prices right now. I don't know. But either way,
you could go both ways. Who knows?
Right. Pick up your phone. Check us out on it. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Become one of the many that listen to us over there. And 10 years. We're here. We're still doing this because of all of you. So thank you so much to all the many fans. Make sure you're sharing with your friends, helping us continue to grow so we can continue to bring you more exciting, awesome, and fun things at a much higher production value. But I don't know, Tyler. That's it for Press Play. So I guess what can they do now? They can press stop.